Hi, everyone, and welcome to Thursday. It is Dr. Monique, your physician in the kitchen. I'm so excited and happy to be back with you guys. I missed you guys last week. I had some family matters I had to attend to, but I am back and super excited to be here and with my Mr. Ellis. How are you doing? Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. I'm glad to have you back. I hope everything's doing well with your family.
Yes.
And that's why I was like, when I got that text, I was disappointed, but I was like, family does come first. And so,
Yes. So thank you for being so understanding. So yeah, everybody's good. I don't know about you all, but I don't know. I feel like these holidays and observances are just sneaking up on me. I'm not ready. I'm not prepared. But for those of you who may not know, who like me may have been relatively clueless, Sunday is Easter.
yeah,
Sunday is Easter. And so, of course, for those of you in the Christian faith, we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus after 3 days, and so we are celebrating. And so, hopefully, your celebrations go as well as you want them to. If you're not celebrating, I still hope you have a wonderful weekend. And so, it's spring break. I mean, there's just a lot going on right now. It's a lot going on.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell what my streets are going to look like when I'm driving because like, are people coming back? Are they going? It's
It's out of
pandemonium.
control. It's out of control. And if you guys are wondering what the background is right now, I'm coming to you live from downtown Charlotte. I am actually at a networking event, but I couldn't miss you guys, 2 weeks in a row. So I'm here for the fastest 30 minutes of my day. I don't know about you guys, but we actually have something a little special for you all today. I think, Alice, I'm going to go ahead and tell them about it. So again, this show, we wouldn't be here without you, without the viewers. And so week after week, for those of you who come in, we so appreciate your enthusiasm, your sharing, your liking, your following. So this week, this episode, we're answering questions. So we are answering.
Oh, we lost your audio.
But we are answering questions about food. Okay. And so we're going to have you drop those questions in the chat and we're going to get to as many of them during the show as we can. But before we do that, right? I mean, just because I've been away, we got to rep your city. Tell us where you are watching us from. Rep your city, rep your zip code, rep your area code, rep your country. Let us know where you are watching us from. Please be sure to share this, right? As my grandmother used to say, tag somebody, have them come on in this house and fellowship with us. And if you're watching this on the replay, please drop hashtag replay because we so appreciate you taking time. We know there are things, lots of things that vie for your time. So the fact that you're here with us, we so appreciate that, and we want to be sure to bring you value to this show and make sure that you're getting your questions answered. I do want to say, though, remember, this show is not meant to treat, diagnose, cure, or prevent any illness. Anything that we discuss here, please be sure you go back, talk about it with your physician, make sure that the recommendations make sense for you. So, Mr. Ellis, I mean, how have you been? I mean, we've had a little break. What's going on in your world? What questions do you have? Let's get it started.
I think for me, it's like I really have done.
Oh, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me again? Okay.
I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. It might be on my end.
All right. So
I may have to let me leave and come back in. I don't know what happened. I'll be right back.
got you. So for those of you, so hey, if you can hear me, just give me a thumbs up, give me a wave, give me a yes if you can hear you, because it might be me, because I can hear her. So please let me know if you can hear me in the comment section so we can keep this going. Also, one of the things that I have been struggling with is that combination, right? So I'm trying to eat healthier. I'm trying to add more plants to my diet, cut out some of the, try to eat more lean meats, try to do all the right things that we've been talking about on this show. Um, and I haven't seen that direct weight droppage. And so I'm trying to figure out, I know it's diet and exercise, but I thought maybe if I cut out some fats and some sugars and really pull back on the drinking, which surprisingly, it's not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. So I've really, lowered that. And so I'm doing everything, but I'm not seeing the weight fall off. And maybe that's a function of age or anything else. But that's been my frustration here recently.
That is an excellent question, and that could take a whole hour by itself. I'm going to try to hit the highlights though, because you kind of touched on a lot. First of all, I want to commend and congratulate you, because even if you're just making, a small change, whether it's one meal or one day, please don't get disheartened. I think a lot of us are type A, and we a lot of our jobs we measure metrics, right? And
Yeah.
so we're like, okay, it's not checking this box, I'm not seeing it move. What I will say though is it is a cumulative effect, and sometimes the scale may not necessarily reflect accurately what's going on. For example, you could be losing inches versus pounds. And if you're exercising, if your water intake is up, if you're cutting back on the fatty processed foods, so you may lose inches and not necessarily see the numbers change on the scale. So, and the other thing too is keep in mind, you may be having changes internally that you may not see. And by that, I mean, what is your cholesterol doing? What is your blood pressure doing? What is your liver function doing? What is your sugar doing? Blood sugar doing? So it's a lot of different things. Yes, as we get older, our metabolism does slow down.
Yeah.
And so that means we have to rev that engine. And basically, for those who don't know, your metabolism is just how efficient your body is at daily activities. Our bodies are our engines, right? And there's fuel that engine takes fuel. Some of us burn more fuel than others, and some of us are leaner than others, and some of us are heavier than others. So that metabolism, how efficiently we burn that fuel, can slow down over time. So again, making sure everything's okay, your heart, your joints, before you take exercise programs, if you haven't been exercising, go get all that checked out. But if all that's okay, and maybe you need to bump up your exercise a little bit, maybe you're not getting the cardio in that you need.
Yeah.
The recommendation is 150 minutes a week, and so that's spread out. So and I want to emphasize here, that's spread out over the week. So if you do 100 minutes in a day, and then another 30 minutes here, really try to spread that out, so the average is about 30 to 45 minutes a day. And you want to also have a variety of your exercise too, because weight training and cardio, it gives you different touch points to make you more efficient at burning fuel and burning fat rather. So it's kind of a whole big picture, but I wouldn't try not to get too discouraged. If you feel like you're not seeing the gains or losses rather that you should, definitely go get your because is it your thyroid? Do you have a sluggish thyroid that needs to be checked out? Men, testosterone levels. Women go through menopause, but so do men. Men go through a menopause as well, where their testosterone levels drop. So just those are some things that you want to get checked out. Make sure that everything is humming along, and then you can add on the dietary and weight and exercise changes. But great question.
Thank you, thank you. Well, yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna keep on the path. I'm gonna keep on the path, and I see my girl Lisa. Yeah, I feel you, Lisa. I'm on your block in terms of age, and so I just it's it's
Same here.
it's a challenge. It's a challenge.
It is. It
Questions
is.
coming in. So here's the first one from Andrea, and she is saying, besides tofu, what else is an option for vegan food and impossible meat?
So I think, are you asking like what are other meat substitutes? Is that
I
what you
think I
mean?
think it sounds like because
Okay.
tofu is always typically a meat
Um,
substitute. Yeah.
Right. So yes, tofu, impossible meat is definitely it is so funny. I've mentioned to y'all I'm in culinary school, and just yesterday we were talking about the meat replacements, the impossible meat, Beyond Burger, and how processed those things are. So if you're really trying to get away from that and really more of a whole foods or purely plant-based, no processed, there's tofu, there's mushrooms, there's lentils, there's seitan, which is a wheat. They call it wheat meat because it's made with a wheat protein. There's tempeh, which is also a soy product like tofu is, but it's the actual kind of the whole soybean. It's fermented, so that's good for your gut health. Um, Kind of has a more nuttier flavor. You have to cook it a little bit differently, but it can make a wonderful. Some people use it to make vegan bacon because it's got a meatier texture. Mushrooms, I can't say enough about mushrooms. I mean, I use all different types of mushrooms for meat replacement because they have a really, a meaty feel. But lentils, whenever I cook, just last week I did a cooking class for some ladies at the YWCA here in Charlotte, and I showed them how to make lentil tacos. And just the cooking, all I did to cook the brown lentils, I cooked them with some onions and a couple of bay leaves. And it smelled like I was cooking meat in my kitchen. It was so crazy what a savory smell it had. And then they can have kind of a meaty taste as well. Beans are another, legumes, another great way to get that kind of, you know, toothy, that mouth feel like you're biting down on something. But those are all great. That those are the ones I use. If there are any others, please be sure to drop them. The Beyond Burgers and the Impossible Meats, I do use those. Like if I go out to eat, I will. If I want a burger, I will have one of those. But again, keep in mind those are processed. And I can't remember which is which, but one is made from pea protein, the other is a soy product. They don't have cholesterol in them, but they do have a bit of saturated fat. They have some sodium, so keep that in mind because some of the numbers when you compare them to a beef burger are kind of similar. But of course, they're not meat. But they are processed. They're not. So if you're really looking for a whole food or a plant based, your mushrooms, your lentils, all those things are going to be the best bet. And and what I recommend too is how you season it. Because people think, oh, tofu, it's so bland. Well, it is, but that's to me that's a selling point because you can marinate it, you can season it with liquid smoked paprika, things that onion, garlic, jerk. You can make jerk preparations, things that really infuse flavor. Curry. I mean, there's the list is endless. So I encourage you to explore. But great question.
All right, next up, my girl Lisa Ann, she's asking, and this is a good question: is there a good fat burner pill available? I'm going
Now
to
remember,
add a piece to it. Should we be taking fat burner pills?
well, okay. First of all, she's gonna. You didn't understand the assignment because we said that these questions are for food only. But I'll let this one slide. Um, yes, there are fat burner. I mean, there's phentermine and other prescriptions. Um, Again, those are things you would talk about with your doctor because for certain people we do not recommend them. If you have high blood pressure, if you already have a fast heart rate, if you have anxiety, if you have thyroid problems, if you're pregnant, like so, yes, there are some, but they're not made for everybody. Because again, people tend to want a kind of a quick fix when that's really not feasible. Um, Diet pills or fat burner pills used in conjunction with proper diet and exercise can be very helpful. But generally speaking, when I was in practice, if someone just came to me and said, "Oh, I just want a pill to lose weight," I didn't prescribe it because you have to. You got to make the changes because if you just relying on that pill to lose the weight, of course, when you stop the pill, the weight will come back. So I as a physician personally don't have one that I recommend. You can certainly talk with your doctor um, to see if there's something that he or she would recommend for you.
And if I could add one thing, a lot of
Mhm.
those pills are not FDA approved, right? They don't have to go through the same rigorous process as like a medication or a prescription. And so some of the things that they put in there, even though they'll put on the bottle, oh, it's got all these great ways to burn fat and lose weight. The other stuff is what can get you. And so what you have to be really, really careful about, and they don't have they have very low regulations on
Right.
the industry. And so sometimes they don't even have to tell you everything that's in the pill. And so that could cause some other problems that could interact. If you've got some medical conditions, it could exacerbate it. It could kick something off that you don't want it. So just be very, very careful when you're taking those over the counter fat burning things. And like I said, they should be used sparingly, if at all.
Right.
Uh, it is part of your diet. So just try to, do
So
it the slow way is the best way.
Right, and that's a great point, Ellis. I specifically was speaking of the prescription pills, but
Okay.
what Ellis is referring to is the ones you can get at your local, GNCs and things like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of those just have stimulants, and so enough caffeine and other things that rev you up. But then you get the palpitations, or you can't sleep at night, or you're feeling anxious. That's because it's cranking up that metabolism. It's kind of like you got your foot on the gas pedal, right? And you're revving up those RPMs in your car engine. So yes, those are not regulated. And remember too, we've talked about on the show before, everything that's natural isn't necessarily healthy or beneficial for you. So people think, oh, this is natural. I can take it and not worry about it. Not necessarily true. And if you're already on prescription medications, highly encourage you to make sure with your doctor and pharmacist that there are no interactions with the medications that you are taking.
Here's a good question from Andrea. Lisa, I'm gonna get to your other question. Do you have a website that you recommend for vegan recipes?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, other than my cookbook that's coming out, my website is drmoniquemay.com, and I do post recipes on there from time to time. I'm sorry, guys. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Um, Also on my social media at physicianinthekitchen.net, I'm always posting either stuff I've made up, my recipes, or my homework for the week from culinary school. But there are several out there. I would what I do is I just type in the recipe I'm looking for, and then I kind of see what comes up. Um, because I'm not really endorsing any of them per se, but I just find the ones that have worked for me. I think one is there's a couple. I think one's a couple, husband and wife that cook. But yeah, I really just, other than my own, I don't really promote anyone else's. But there are lots out there. You could just literally type in, like for me, what was the last thing I was trying to find was, I think that the vegan tacos, because I have a recipe in my book, but I want to just kind of see what else is out there. And I just typed in lentil tacos, and it comes up. So you filter it for vegan or put in vegan, and you get all kinds of stuff. So
And I think there is, and I could be wrong on this, but I think in on the next Netflix series, High on the Hog, there is
mm,
one of the episodes. There is a black chef, and she has a cookbook out, and I think her cookbook is all about she uses soul food, but she flipped them.
to veganize it.
She veganized it, and so
Okay.
really, really, and she goes all the way back, and she goes back in history and brings out some older recipes and things of that nature. So you can try that as well. But always keep some change on the side because Dr. May's book is coming out here.
It's coming out very soon. And I have over 50 vegan recipes. So I think you'll find just something for just about everybody in there.
Okay, Lisa says, why is it written? This is a good question. Can I feel you on this one, Lisa? Why is it recommended to limit red meat intake during a weight loss journey?
Oh, that is a great question. I would think for several reasons. Number one, how is the red meat prepared? Because if it's if you think about red meat, it can be fried, it can be grilled, it can be however you cook your red meat. So the in the process of cooking that, with if what you're adding to it, if you're adding um, fatty sauces, or particularly like things that you don't make yourself, like processed barbecue sauces or marinades that have sugar in them and preservatives, that can be sources of extra calories. um, the sodium as well. I mean, the salt, and it's not just red meat. In this country, the producers of chicken, they can pump. They actually inject water, a saline solution, because salt does what, attract fluid, and so that makes the chicken heavier. So when you pay for it by pound per pound, you're paying for that water, that saline water. So if the red meat has a lot of salt in it as well, that can make you retain fluid and gain weight. Um, but I think just limiting red meat in general, we know is just recommended because of the different diets we've talked about on this show, the role the red meat plays in disease, um, it pro, pro, progression such as colon cancer and heart disease and things like that. But it's probably a combination of how the meat is prepared, what you're putting on the meat, portion sizes, all of that can play a role.
Yeah, and I would just add, because we just did our kidney show last Friday, and we had a nutritionist on there, and she was kind of going. She said, try to eliminate red meat, and I had a problem. I was like, oh, but there's levels to red meat, right? So there, red meat includes like hamburger, which is really ground up and is really really fatty, and then red meat also includes things like filet or
Venison, deer meat, which
venison,
is very lean.
very very lean, and so you've got all your lean meats, and so I think to Dr. Make's point, one, you need to lean on the leaner side. So we need to cut all that ground stuff out because it's ground with fat and they put a whole lot of thing in it. Cut all that out. Cut out the cheaper cuts. Go to your leaner meats with that give you smaller portion size. So like you get a fillet, then we get you 6 ounce, 8 ounce smaller sizes. If you go on with like ribeyes and strip steaks and things like that, they have more marbling, that's more fat, and they're bigger portions. You talk about 12, 14, 16 ounce steaks. And so that way you can get into that can you can get into trouble. So you start going to those chains, like, I'm not going to give anybody any endorsements or try to, denigrate anybody, but they'll give you that big because you feel better. You say, hey, I pay for this food. I get this big hunk of meat, and it's getting all in your body, and it can lead to other problems. And so just really have to cut that back. Plus red meat kind of it's a little heavier in the body. So if you're trying to lose weight, it can take a little bit longer to digest, which makes it harder on your exercise. It makes it harder on your digestion. So just be careful.
I will say too, just speaking of portion sizes, just as a reminder, or to those who may not know, a portion size is not what they bring to your table at a restaurant. A portion size really is 4 to 6 ounces, really 4 ounces, which is about the size, exactly the size of the palm of your hand, not the fingers, the palm, or a deck of cards.
Yeah.
That's a serving, right? So a lot of Americans eat way more than that. But just think about the last time, if for those of you who eat meat, the last time you went out and had a steak, it very easily was probably 2, 3, 4 times the size of that. So
Yeah.
you're eating 2 and 3 serving sizes. So you have to multiply those calories, right? If one serving size has 500 calories and you just ate 3, that's 1,500 calories. That's about a third of a pound right there. So it adds up.
Here's a good trick that I have started using myself to
I know what you're going to say.
lower your serving size. Eat on a salad plate, right? Because because you can't. It's hard to fill up a salad plate because it's smaller. So your portion sizes look bigger, right? So you get a smaller plate, and then you say, okay, I'm trying to eat, all these things. So you have to use a smaller portion size, and so that'll keep your portion size down as you're trying to work. So some of the things are tricks. Some of the things you just have to naturally do it. Hey, only one spoonful. But yeah, a salad plate is a nice trick.
That's a great idea. That's actually healthy plate. There's I can't remember if it's the FDA or who came up with it, but there's healthy plate, which is they recommend it if you're looking at a 9-inch plate for adults and a 7-inch plate for children, where you kind of break it up into quadrants and put different things in there. But yes, for adults, if you are trying to lose weight, eat from a smaller plate. Now, of course, if you go back and refill that plate 2, 3, 4 times, you have defeated the purpose.
Right?
But yes, that's a good thing. And another tip I just like to give too, now that we're kind of over, the world is opening up, we're going back out and eating in restaurants again. Um, when you order your food, when your food is delivered, ask for a to-go container right then. Don't wait till you've eaten half or 2/3 of the food. Get
Mm,
the to-go box. Ask him, hey, when you bring my plate, bring that to-go box, and go ahead and take half of your food off, because a lot of times you're getting enough that can really be dinner and then lunch the next day, right? And doing it that way, when the dinner comes and you take it off immediately, versus eating until you're full and then taking whatever leftovers, you're set to stop earlier, so that you're less likely to overeat, and you are cueing in to those, what we call satiety cues, where your brain is telling you, okay, look, you've really had enough, you can stop eating now. And and you know that this is a kind of a whole nother conversation, but the role that food plays for a lot of us, how we were trained, how we were there's a commercial now for this program to help people lose weight, and it shows them how they go back in childhood and they realize they've been conditioned to eat a certain way. And one of the what's one of the things a lot of our parents used to tell us: clean your plate, right?
If you grew
So
up poor, you know about cleaning your plate.
cleaning your plate. So yeah, you can clean your plate if you want to flip that on its head. Clean your plate, all right. Go
Right.
ahead and take half of it off. And so if you are cleaning your plate, you're cleaning half of that food, and you're less likely to overeat.
Absolutely. Patsy had a great recommendation here. She was saying plan your meal around vegetables and not around the meat, right? Because
You know that's up my alley. Yes, she
most
gets
people
the
do it
gold
the other.
star.
Most people do it the other way around. They say, "Well, what we're gonna have tonight? Or we're gonna have chicken, or we're gonna have fish, whatever." So they're planning their meal around meat. They say, "Well, what goes with this meat?" Do it, Patsy. That's a great idea. Do it the other way around. Say, okay, and really, the nutritionist we had last week, she said half your plate should be vegetables, right?
Oh,
That
totally,
the meat should
totally.
be the side, and treat the vegetables, and that's what Patsy is saying. The vegetables should be the main dish. So plain your meat, yeah, great job.
That healthy plate that I was referring to a few minutes ago, that's exactly right. If you know your plate is like a clock, and you know it's in four quarters, then half of it is vegetables, complex, fruits and vegetables, and then a fourth of it is actually a protein. So that protein can be meat if you eat meat, but it can also be plant based protein as well. And then the other fourth would be your complex carbs. So yeah, definitely, easily should be half the plate. Veggies, fruits and veggies.
Work your substitutes too, and then this is the way I got started was doing the substitute. So going from, and then gradual process, going from white rice to brown rice, and then from brown rice, once you get used to subbing out brown rice, then you can go to your more complex kind of long grains, your wild rice, your black rices, your quinoas, and things of that nature that are higher in protein. So you can gradually make that process gradual and get your palate adjusted instead of
Exactly.
trying to go from white rice all the way to the other end. Adjust. Hey, switch it out once in a while. Uh, when you get the salad, really be cognizant of how much dressing you're putting on. Get a lighter dressing. When if you're buying canned vegetables, get the no sodium canned vegetable, right? The one where
And
you
rinse them, and still rinse them off.
and still rinse them off. And then if you want to add some salt, hey, any salt you added is coming from you, not that's already in the can, and then you're adding more sodium on top of that to salt it down. And so those little things like that add up over time and will help you feel and be healthier.
But I do want to say about a word about canned vegetables, particularly beans. Don't throw that juice away. The water that's in a
Yeah.
can of beans, that aquafaba, is a wonderful egg white replacement. It can be whipped into a meringue. It can be used as an aioli or a mayonnaise base. So don't throw that away, because that the bean juice is technically what aquafaba is really invaluable as an egg replacer. So keep that in mind.
Wait, so that juice is in the can of them green beans that I pour out in the
No,
sink?
no, no, not the green beans. So
Okay.
I'm sorry. Let me specify. Like like chickpeas. The main one is chickpeas,
Okay.
garbanzo beans. But I've also used from black beans. Like if I'm making brownies, I'll use that, because black beans, red beans. So, but yeah, it technically is. It's most commonly is the use is the chickpea or the garbanzo bean, which is the same thing. But you will use the navy beans, the white beans, because those are a milder flavor. So those are just some of the things I do.
Well, as we're wrapping up here, because time went by really fast.
I did.
Are there any last minute questions? So before we let Doc get back to her networking event,
I know, right?
I
Double
know you
double
get
duty
brain
here.
like, what's she over there talking about? What's she
I
talking
know.
about? I've been there, done that. I did a show from a golf course one time,
Well,
and
there you go.
people were
It's, I've,
walking by. They were like, "What is he doing?"
I've got my little portable ring light, so I'm ready. I'm ready. But no, I think I love shows like this because it gives the audience a chance to kind of get those questions answered in real time, and it helps me to kind of think of content that to bring to you all that
Yes.
that's relevant and that's valuable to you. So I'm thinking next week we talked about it a few weeks ago, but I think talking about preservatives would
Yes.
be a really good thing because again, everything natural isn't necessarily healthy for you, and we may not even realize what preservative means because actually, I mean, freezing is a form of preservation, but we so all preservation is not bad. But I want to just have spend a little time talking about specifically what you're looking for in those labels when you are shopping. Because that's what it really comes down to as well. Anything other than a piece of fruit or a vegetable that you get in the produce aisle, it's got a package, right? It's got a label. And so you need to know how to read it and kind of start to decipher some of that stuff as well. So that's what we're going to talk about next week.
Looking forward to that discussion. And we say here, shop the perimeter when you go to the grocery store and
That's
eat
right.
the rainbow. Those are two
Eat the
of the
rainbow.
two of
That's
the
right.
takeaways you get to. Shop the perimeter, eat the rainbow, and that'll help you on your veganist journey or flexitarian journey, however you want to say it. But she is Dr. Monique Knight, a
I'm
physician follower.
Dr. Monique. That's right. Find me on all social media at Physician in the Kitchen. And be sure if you've got more questions, drop them in the chat. We'll get to as many as we can. And we'll see you back here next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll still be April. It'll still be April.
Yep.
So, so look forward to seeing you guys and thank you so much for joining us tonight.
And happy Easter.
Happy Easter. That's right. He is risen. Hashtag he is risen. Good night, everybody.